Hello, friends. I'm back for a new episode on things related to Indian history. And this time we will be having a new section called Ancient Battles. And the first episode on this particular section will be the Battle of Narmada, which was fought in 618 AD between the Chalukyan Emperor Pulakesin II and Harsha, the Emperor of Kannauj or North India in 618. Uh, this is a very important battle in the annals of Indian history as it stopped Harsha in its tracks for a complete domination of the uh, of India. He had his empire stretched from Kashmir to Vindhyas, but this particular battle against Pulakesin stopped in his tracks and made sure that India was governed in that particular time frame by two big empires of the time. One was the Pushyabhuti Empire or the Empire of Harsha, which was ruling north, and the Chalukyan Empire ruled by Pulakesin II. Before we go to the details of the battle, let's just say something from the quotes section, and this is from Mahabharata, which talks about the futility of war. And this particular section has been taken from book 5, chapter 25 and verse 7, where Sanjaya he says that war causes destruction to all. It is sinful, it creates hell, it gives the same result in victory and defeat alike. So, this is what the Mahabharata has to say about war. And basically, Mahabharata is an anti war document. Yes, you can talk about the battles or the war of Kurukshetra, but basically it is about the futility of war, and this particular quote also suggests the same. Now, let's go to the sources of this particular battle of Narmada, and there are only three primary sources. I'm talking about the contemporary sources, which are there uh, just just a few weeks, few months, or few years after this particular battle. So one is the Pune copper plate inscription. This is a very important inscription of Pulakesin the second. Then we have a literary account of Xuanzang or Yuansang, a Chinese pilgrim who came to India between 629 to 645 AD. He traversed the whole of the country and stayed particularly at the court of Harsha. So we have his account regarding this particular battle. And then we have the Aihole inscription. This is an inscription in Karnataka, uh, which has been written by Ravi Kirti. Ravi Kirti was the court poet of Pulakesin the second, and where he has described the sequence of events of the battle, how the battle was fought, and who emerged victorious, etc. But before going into proper details of all these sources, just we should just look at few of the photographs related to both these personalities, Harsha and Pulakesin the second. Now, this is the coin of Harsha. We don't have his actual how he looked like, but this is the coin of Harsha. You can see his face on the obverse, and on the reverse, you can see a peacock, and there is a legend surrounding this peacock, and the legend says Siladitya. Now, Siladitya was one of the title of Harsha. So this is the silver coin depicting Harsha himself. Now, how did Pulakesin look like? I'll just magnify this a little bit. This is Pulakesin to Historians have proposed this is a painting actually from the Ajanta caves depicting perhaps Pulakesin II, and he is receiving the ambassador of the Persian Empire at that time, who visited his sorry, who visited his capital in about 627 AD. So this incident has been captured in this particular painting at the Ajanta caves. And this is the empire of Harsha. I'll just magnify this again. You could see he was the lord of whole of north, west, and east. And in fact, this is his direct. This is the area ruled directly by him, but indirectly, he was also ruling Kashmir. He was also ruling parts of Punjab, uh, and parts of modern Bangladesh as well. So this was the area of Harsha's empire, which was about 1 million square kilometers or a little bit more, which is about one third of modern days India's area. So this was a huge empire of Harshavardhana. Now we have the Pulakeshin's empire, and you can see he was ruling everything south of Narmada. Yes, he had problems with Pallavas of Kanchi, but his influence went across all of the south, including Kalinga and parts of Gujarat as well. And basically, if you could see these two maps, you would understand. And these two maps are there just after the battle, and you can see that both these emperors were ruling whole of India together. I mean, they had divided practically India into two. So from Kashmir to Narmada, you had Harsha, and everything south of Narmada was Pulakeshins. Now we come to the sources. The first one is the Pune copper plate inscription. Now this was found at Pune, which describes it. It actually does not describe the whole battle itself. Uh, the the date of the inscription is dated. It is to about 4 April 619 AD, and there was this lunar eclipse on Vaishak Purnima. That is the description which related to the battle itself. And historians have calculated that this battle was fought a few months before April 619 AD. So anywhere between November, December 618 AD, this particular battle was fought. And you can see the photograph of this. This is the Pune copper plate inscription, which describes which describes the particular, perhaps the particular months in which this particular battle was fought. Now, the conflict. We must first go to the conflict as to why Harsha was keen on subjugating the south. And we have got something in Harshcharitra from Banabhatta. This is the quote which one of the ministers of Harsha tells him when Harsha finds out that his uh, that he wants to conquer everything. So, in order to prop him up, his ministers tell him that the land of Turkasas, that is Turks, is to be brave but a cubit. Persia is only a span, the Shaka realm but a rabbit track, the Pariyatra country, that is Afghanistan, incapable of returning a blow, and a gentle march alone is needed. The Dakshin, south, is easily won at the price of valor. So, this is what one of the ministers of Harsha told him in order to prop him up. Remember when this was being said, Harsha was had just ascended the throne. He was a 16-year-old guy and who had lost his brother and who has lost his father, and he was keen on revenging them. And this perhaps gives a little perspective into what Harsha might have been told regarding the countries which were, or the regions which were adjoining his empire or his kingdom. It was not yet an empire when Harsha ascended the throne. So we'll just look at the chronology of events. So Harsha actually got the throne. He was not supposed to rule because his brother Rajyavardhana was the king after the death of his father. But Rajyavardhana was treacherously murdered by the king of Bengal, or Gauda. His name is Sasanka, and hence it was left to Harsha to take the mantle on, and then he rule the kingdom. His kingdom of his father Prabhakarvardhana was actually based at Sthaneshwara or Thaneshwar, which is in modern day Haryana, and it was a kingdom. Prabhakar Vardhana was known as a great warrior. It was a kingdom, but it had not reached the size of an empire till Harsha started his campaign. So Xuanzang states that Harsha started his campaign of conquest with 50,000 infantry, 30,000 cavalry, and 5,000 elephants. And as I had mentioned before, his empire stretched from Kashmir to Vindhyas and from Gujarat to Bengal and parts of Odisha. Now, as what I said, the conflicts was actually brought upon by the aggression of Harsha. Now, he had vanquished Dhruvasena too, the king of Vallabhi. Vallabhi is in Gujarat, and now he was tempted to test his arms with Pulakesin too, whose dominions were south of Narmada. But Harsha may have forgot, or we can say this in retrospective, that he met his match in Pulakesin too, because if Harsha was a great warrior and a great general, Pulakesin was not less than him. And things were boiling up to a point when Harsha started his march and crossed the Narmada, and that is where he was stopped. Now, he was stopped because there were passes in those areas, and Pulakesin's army reinforced those passes with the majority of their soldiers, and it became very difficult for Harsha to cross those passes in order to invade the south proper. Now we look at the account of Yuanzhang, and he calls Harsha as Siladitya Raja, as we had just mentioned that Siladitya was title of Harsha. So Huensang here says that Siladitya Raja, boasting of a skill and invariable success of his generals, filled with confidence himself, marched at the head of his troops to contend with the prince. The prince in this case is Pulakesin II, but he was unable to subjugate them, although he had gathered troops and generals from all regions under him. So Huensang basically states that Harsha had gathered a huge army. 18 kings of North India uh, were under Harsha, and all these kings and their generals had provided arms and elephants and horses, soldiers even to Harsha in order to subjugate the south. We don't know what was the size of Harsha's forces when they decided to invade Pulakesin's territories. But looking at how he started his conquest with 50,000 infantry and 30,000 horses, so I think the number of forces would be the same. same or a little bit more, if not less. Again, we have Yuan Sang again says that the great king Siladitya was invading east and west, and region far and near were submitting to him. But Mohalacha refused to become subject of him. Now, this is interesting. This Mohalacha, the area of Maharashtra, perhaps, or perhaps the area south of Narmada, which is called Mohalacha by Huensang, and it also, this statement also provides the fact that what was written in Harsha Charita. Now, friends, Harsha Charitra is a biography of Harsha. It has been written by his court poet Bana Bhatta, and you will not find one mention of this battle in that book, simply because the book is a family history of about the family history of Harsha, and a bit of eulogy about him. And why would a court poet write about defeat of his own king? So you will not find any mention of Harsha's defeat in that book, but you can find it in Huan Sang's statement. So he and Bana Bhatta also says that Harsha was invading all these areas near and far, and same thing has been said by Huan Sang. And he says that Mohalacha refused to become sorry subject of him. Now we have discussed two two sources which talk about this battle. Now we have a primary source which is the Aihole inscription of Pulakesin II. This is in, you can find this in near Badami or Vatapi in Karnataka, and there is this Jain temple near which this inscription is placed. The inscription actually is written by a court poet of Pulakesin named as Ravi Kirti, and this is an eulogy of Pulakesin to his family and his victories and his kingship, etc. Now, the inscription dates to Shaka year Shak Samvat 556, which is about 634 AD, and as I said, it's a eulogy of Pulakesin II by his court poet Ravi Kirti. And again, this describes the victory of Pulakesin over Harsha. The fun fact, there are two fun facts about this particular inscription. One is the mention of the word Kalidas in this particular eulogy, uh, which proves the historicity of Kalidasa, that Kalidas was a historical person and not some figment of imagination. And secondly, the most important thing about this inscription is that the date of the Mahabharata war, exact date of the Mahabharata war, is this is mentioned in this inscription. And this, I will not go much into it because I want to concentrate on the battle itself. But the date which comes out from this inscription is about 3138 BCE, in which this battle of Mahabharata was fought, and it is the year of that uh, the year of that particular war has been mentioned in this particular inscription. Now, we'll look at some of the quotes related to the battle as per this inscription. So, there is this goes. So, one, Harsha, whose lotus feet were arrayed with the rays of jewels of the diadems of the host of kings, prosperous with unmeasured might. Though Pulakesin had his joy melted away in fear, having become loathsome with his rows of elephants fallen in battle. So here we get a little bit information that Harsha trusted his elephant army to easily smash the army of Pulakesin because he had so many elephants with him, and also he had so many kings who were under his service that he thought that it would be a little bit easy to defeat Pulakesin. But as what happened, Harsha became worried and his joy melted away in fear because he lost his elephant army to the stratagems employed by Pulakesin. And this is a very famous statement from this same inscription. It says that Harsha's joy, so in Sanskrit, joy, Harsh is also joy, and the name of the king is also Harsha. So Harsha's joy, Harsha turned to sorrow after seeing the destruction of his army by Pulakesin. This is from Ravikirti in the Aihole inscription. Now, was there a invasion by Pulakesin also? Because there are only two primary sources or two uh, primary inscriptions with this particular battle, and nowhere else in any of the inscription by Pulakesin you would find the mention of this battle. There are historians like Dr. Sohani, and he suggests that after the defeat of Harsha, when Harsha went back to his kingdom, Pulakesin tried to invade Harsha's territory as well in order to teach him a lesson. But he was defeated, he was also defeated, and he also went back to his own particular kingdom. So, this is what historians like Dr. Sohani have proposed. So, the aftermath of the defeat of Harsha, well, both kings divided India into two, particularly the Harsha's dominion extended from Kashmir to Narmada, and all the areas south of it were under Pulakesin's control. Uh, the relationship between these two kings may have been friendly a little later, as we see that Xuanzang or Huensang was sent to Pulakesin's court as an ambassador by Harsha. So Harsha is actually called a Sakala Uttarapathantha, which means the Lord of the North, while Pulakesin is called Dakshinapatheshwara, or the Lord of the South. He is also called Parameshwara after defeating Harsha. So Harsha went back to Kannauj, increased his army to 60,000 cavalry and 100,000 elephants. And as per Xuanzang or Huensang, he governed without raising a hand for the next 30 years. Harsha died in 647 or 648 AD. Pulakesin, meanwhile, continued his struggles. He had lots of things to worry about, including uh, incursions by the Pallavas. Uh, he mostly defeated them, but in 642, the Pallava king conquered his capital, Vatapi in Karnataka or Badami, and Pulakesin died in the this particular battle. The main point about Harsha and Pulakesin was at that time I'm talking about, and we have to look at 75 years later what happened in 711 AD when the Muslims invaded India and conquered the province of Sindh. No foreign invader came to India until these two guys were there. Uh, so we can say that after the demise of these two powerful persons from the political landscape of India. Their empires, particularly Harsha's empire, it broke up into small pieces. People again started fighting with each other, small kingdom, and they could not see that there were invaders coming up from the northwest or from the west. They were happy governing their own petty fiefdoms, and nobody cared as to what must be done to throw the invaders out. But as long as these two were there, there was no question of any outside interference into Indian affairs. Uh, so I conclude this particular episode on Battle of Narmada. I'll be back again next Sunday for another episode on another aspect of ancient India. Please keep liking and subscribing the video. I thank you all for all your suggestions and all your comments, all your questions, and we'll meet again next week for another episode. Till then, take care and goodbye.